the Dallas Mavericks are still alive after they managed to rebuild their offense and defense, delivering one of the most crushing defeats to the Celtics in the history of the finals series. But what was it? A deliberate tank by Boston, as many wrote, or a real failure of Marzala's team, which will start Dallas's comeback in the finals? We will find out right now. The fifth game of the finals series has already taken place, and we need to understand how it went. First, what's interesting about it? First, note that the opening segment of the first quarter was entirely owned by a guy named Jrue Holiday, who was very effective on screens for Jason Tatum, helping Boston score their first points. He was also effective on defense, rebounding on both ends of the court and playing under the rim, being almost the only player creating pressure for Boston under the basket. Secondly, Kristaps Porzingis. Joe Mazzulla stated at the pre-game press conference that Kristaps would be fully available for his minutes, unlike the previous game where the coaching decision was made not to play the big man to preserve his already fragile health. On offense, we saw his usual search for mismatches on switches, where Kyrie Irving traditionally suffered. But on defense, he was a major liability, allowing the visitors not only to come back from the initial deficit created by Boston, but also to completely lose their attack from beyond the arc, as the big man did not provide the necessary contest, did not step up for help, and generally chose poor positions on defense. Thirdly, Mavericks leaders Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving could not play effectively due to the Celtics' solid defense, which reverted to their usual tactics of early pressure on the visitors' leaders on their own half. Perhaps Luka and Kyrie simply couldn't find their rhythm throughout the game. Although they had moments for attacks and played through contact, their efficiency in these episodes was almost non-existent. Only 5 points from the Mavericks star duo by the end of the first quarter is an obvious alarm for Mavericks fans. Fourthly, the game itself, largely due to Lively, Derek Jones, and especially Josh Green with Exum hitting their open shots at the start of the quarter, Kidd's team managed to stay afloat for a while. However, after making several mistakes towards the end of the quarter, the Celtics managed not only to make a run, but also to break their opponents for the first time in this matchup, who were again worse in all statistical aspects from rebounding to ball movement. A true miracle happened here. Do you know what it was? At 10:30, Kyrie Irving scored his first personal points of the game. Meanwhile, the offense was relying on the least stable options in attack: Derek Jones, PJ Washington, and Derek Lively. The guys had no choice but to take on the game even more actively, which we saw. But this pales in comparison to Boston's defense and offense. From the moments that stood out to me, there was a point around 6:30 before the end of the half when Mazzulla decided to play a small ball segment, and immediately the opponents went on a quick 8-2 run. It's surprising that Kidd doesn't pay attention to this. This is when the usual alley-oops to Washington returned, and Boston's paint finally received some tangible pressure. But after Horford returned to the court, Boston restored active defense under the rim. Honestly, there's nothing to say about the second half. As a long-time Boston fan, it was nice to see my team continue to play in championship form and edge closer to their first championship since 2008. Today marks 16 years since I started following this team, and since they won the finals. But at the same time, it was painful to see how poorly Dallas played. The most effective player in terms of scoring for the visitors was Josh Green, who is not the most crucial player in this series. Where was everyone else? Where was the support for Doncic from the role players? He was criticized for poor defense, but tried to lead almost every attack alone and then defend against Boston's best offensive options. This is not a realistic scenario. Green played classic spacing in offense for most of the match and managed to grab offensive rebounds. Holiday and White literally devoured everyone who stood in their way. The work done by Horford and Holiday deserves a standing ovation. In the third and fourth quarters, Dallas couldn't recover and close the deficit. Boston held only one intrigue, who would win the Finals MVP title: Jason Tatum with 31 points and 11 rebounds, Jaylen Brown, or Jrue Holiday. The victory for the Boston Celtics was clear. Boston's 18th championship allows them to surpass their eternal rivals, the Los Angeles Lakers. Tatum's tears speak to how long and hard he has worked to reach this moment. Joe Mazzulla became the youngest coach since Bill Russell to win a finals series. Congratulations to all Boston fans. The Dallas Mavericks, although not in their element in this series, deserve respect for making it to the finals. Even Kyrie found the strength to congratulate his former team. I believe that Doncic's talents will bring the team more championships, just like JT and JB. Once again, congratulations on the victory. The off-season, the NBA draft, and the Olympic Games are ahead, so subscribe channel. Goodbye, everyone.